Welcome to Headline to Heartline. The U.S. Department of Justice releases another wave of Epstein files, and what appears in them is not just disturbing, it is humiliating. A royal residence looks like a brothel. A prince and duke, at the time a working royal, is pictured draped over multiple women. This is not rumor. This is not social media noise. This is material released by U.S. authorities, now in the public record. And Sarah Ferguson also appears in these files, without any clear explanation as to why she is there at all. Today's episode is about that. Prepare to feel anger, because what this shows is contempt for British people and contempt for the crown itself. This is happening right before Christmas. The date matters. The DOJ dump hit on December 19, 2025, and it lands like a slap in the face a few days before the holiday. People are trying to get through the season, pay their bills, keep their families steady, and then this, a reminder of how the powerful live and how long they get protected. And for context, the new files do not only touch royals. Reporters are already pointing out other famous names and faces in the material, people like Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Richard Branson, and Walter Cronkite. There was even reporting about a Trump-related item briefly disappearing while the DOJ reviewed redactions. This video is not about them. I'm saying it to make one point. This release is big, it is messy, it is real, it is not a niche rumor, and the royal angle is not a side note, it is a scandal inside a national institution. Andrew and Sarah did it again, another scandal. Here is the problem, stripped of excuses. Members of the British royal family use their status, their access, and property tied to the crown while the public paid the bill. They benefited from privilege, taxpayers covered the costs, and when serious questions arose, the system closed ranks instead of acting. This is not about gossip or salacious photos. It is about power and money. It is about royal estates maintained through public funds being treated as private playgrounds. It is about titles that bring influence without accountability. It is about protection that ordinary people never receive. And the Andrew image matters because of what it shows and where it was taken. A black and white photograph inside Sandringham. Andrew stretched across the laps of several women, faces redacted, Ghislaine Maxwell standing nearby, visible and smiling. This is not a nightclub. This is not a private villa. This is a crown estate tied directly to the monarchy's public role. Sandringham is not just any house. In Britain, it is loaded with meaning, especially at Christmas. It is where the royal family gathers. It is wrapped in tradition, ritual, and national symbolism. It is presented to the public as a place of family, duty, and continuity. And these images surface days before Christmas, days before a season that British taxpayers are told to associate with service, restraint, and unity. Instead, they are confronted with proof that while they paid the bills, their symbols were being treated with casual disregard. That is a punch in the stomach, not because of prudishness, but because of betrayal. Then there are the images of Sarah Ferguson, not explicit, not criminal on their face, but present, sitting with people connected to Epstein, appearing again in material tied to a man known publicly for years as dangerous and predatory. And the question is unavoidable. What was she there? Why was she there? What judgment led her into that orbit yet again? And let's address the point people keep arguing about. She is not a working royal. She is not carrying duties. She is not somebody the public voted for. But she has lived for decades inside the royal ecosystem. She has benefited from proximity. She has used the name, and she has been styled and treated publicly in ways ordinary people simply are not. If you want to say she is not titled in the way people mean it, fine. The bigger point stays. She is royal adjacent in the most privileged way possible, and the public is still forced to watch the consequences get softened. This is a woman whose adult life has been defined by apologies. Apologies for debt, apologies for cash for access, apologies for associations that should never have existed. At what point does sorry stop being accountability and start being routine? At what point does the institution ask whether this constant cycle of embarrassment is acceptable? At the time these images were taken, Andrew was not retired. He was not sidelined. He was not some irrelevant private citizen. He was representing the institution. Every handshake, every residence, every ounce of credibility came from the Crown. That credibility is built on public trust, and public trust is paid for year after year by British taxpayers. For years, the warning signs were obvious, the associations were public, the discomfort was visible, and still the palace chose delay, silence, and legal distance. They waited, they calculated, they hoped it would fade. That's what privilege does. It buys time, it buys insulation, it buys the benefit of the doubt long after the doubt should have turned into action. British taxpayers were told to keep funding the institution, to respect tradition, to trust internal handling. Meanwhile, consequences were postponed, apologies were managed, responsibility was diluted. No ordinary public servant would have been allowed that luxury. Any civil servant, any diplomat, any official caught in a fraction of this would have been removed immediately. And then there is Sarah Ferguson, still protected by association, already known to have accepted money linked to Epstein, now appearing again in newly released files with no clear public explanation. The question is simple and unavoidable. Why is she there? And why has there been no direct reckoning with the public she supposedly served? Now documents are released, images circulate, emails are discussed, and suddenly there is movement. Titles are adjusted, residences are reconsidered, language becomes firmer. This is presented as accountability. It is not. It is damage control after the damage is done. What is changing now is not morality, it is pressure. Public patience has run out. Curiosity has turned into judgment. People are no longer asking what happened. They are asking why it was tolerated for so long and who made that choice. Losing a house is not justice. Stepping back from duties is not justice. Quietly disappearing from view is not justice. These are inconveniences inside a system that still cushions its own, while demanding loyalty and funding from everyone else. The harm here is not only individual, it is institutional. It is the message sent every time privilege softens consequences, every time public money funds private comfort, every time accountability arrives only when exposure makes silence impossible. This is why trust erodes, not because people hate tradition, but because they see double standards. They see protection where there should have been responsibility. They see delay where there should have been leadership. Thank you for listening. I am waiting for an explanation. I am waiting for more apologies, because that is what they always seem to offer instead of consequences. And we will be here to follow up as more of these files are examined in public. Like and subscribe. And I hope this bitter taste of royals does not make your Christmas bad. Have a sweet and happy holidays. Power without consequences is not tradition. It is entitlement. And entitlement, once exposed, does not disappear quietly.